Okay, last week we started reading How Bad Could It Be, right? And I created this characters web to help us remember the characters' names, because when some of you were talking about the characters, you just said him or he, and we want to use their actual names, okay? So the main character is Ben and Kevin. We initially put is Ben's friend. Do you think that's correct? Why not? Kind of his friend? What do you think? Not his friend. Why do you say that?
Because friends don't do that.
Do what?
Make each other do things.
Make each other do things. What was Kevin trying to make Ben do? Right?
Squish. Truman.
Yes, squish Truman. So I'm going to put a question mark beside Kevin's, because we don't know if he's a friend or not. Truman. What do I have for Truman? Do you think we could use a better phrase for that? Weird boy at school?
Yes.
What would be another phrase?
It would be, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think strange.
Strange.
Like, people
Weird and strange are kind of synonyms, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A nerd.
Nerd, maybe. Okay, I was thinking the author's words. He called Ben a quiet boy. Or not Ben, Truman a quiet boy.
Like he was shy.
So I'm gonna put, maybe we could put shy. I like that idea. So Truman was very shy, right? Okay. We need to finish up the story today. You had your character traits you were circling about Ben, right? How was Ben feeling at each part of the story? And most of you are ready for 5 or 6. One of you might be ready for 7. So when we start rereading today, we're going to start with section 5. And actually, you'll finish the article or the story, and then we are going to listen to an audio version of the story to help us dig deeper and understand who is dynamic and who is static. Remember how we talked about dynamic versus static characters? So static character is a character that stays the same. Doesn't change in the story. A dynamic character does what?
In the story.
Changes. So I asked you to decide between Ben and Kevin who was static and who was dynamic. So thinking about what you've read so far, I want you to turn and talk to each other about who you think is the static character and who is dynamic. Okay? All right, go.
I think,
Okay, dynamic
I
is
might be wrong, but I think Ben is dynamic.
they change. Static is they stay the same. So who do you think is staying the same?
Or he might be dynamic. The character? Dynamic. Yeah. Kevin.
What do you agree with her? Kevin is what?
Ben might be
Static, staying the same. Now turn and talk to each other. Who do you think Ben is? What is Ben then? Okay, why?
Because throughout the story he starts to change.
What is one way he changes?
He changes from afraid to cute.
He was afraid of who or what? He was afraid of Kevin. And he's changing to curious. Why do you say curious? I know you were looking at some of your words you circled about how he was feeling. In part 5 you put curious. Why? You what? You need to reread it? Okay. So we're going to start with part 5 as we reread today. So I'm going to check in with you and see if you can remember why curious. Any other comments? Ben is dynamic. Did you guys say dynamic or static?
We said
Why? He changes throughout the story. So what's one way he changes? When you were talking about the beginning, when Kevin wanted Ben to do what? And when the bus turned the corner, what would happen? Squeeze Truman. Okay. So Ben, did he do that? He didn't do that. So he was trying to change when he decided not to do that? Okay. Anyone else agree with that? He could have said yes to Kevin and went ahead and squished Truman, right? But he kind of stood up to him a little bit. But what happened to him when, after he stood up to him and didn't? He got squished. What do you mean? So Kevin squeezed Ben because Ben didn't do what he asked. Okay. All right. We're going to get right into the story in just a minute. We're going to all start on part 5. I wanted to remind you to keep in mind, thinking as you're reading, who's the dynamic and who's the static. You guys are thinking Kevin is static and not changing, and Ben is changing, right? You are going to be writing paragraphs. A paragraph about what you think Ben is, and a paragraph what you think Kevin is when we finish this, probably tomorrow. Okay? All right, so turn to part 5. And I'm going to have you start reading on part 5. And you may read all the way to the end without stopping unless I'm asking you a question, if I'm listening in to you. Okay? And keep filling out our chart. Okay? All right, start reading. Can I hear you? Part 5.
Ben had seen the other 5th grade classes' giant pumpkin faces, the triangle eyes, and the black.
What do you think?
I know I've heard the word before, but I just can't. The acronym.
You're
Acronym.
close. You're close. I see. I like how you're trying to chunk it out there. The A says if that helps you.
Accordion.
Accordion. Accordion. And he says accordion legs and arms.
Dangling down.
What does that mean? Accordion legs and arms.
I think it means like when it's like it's like a circle, and there's like parts that
You're thinking the pumpkin is the circle, right?
yeah.
And the legs are hanging down. Look right there.
Yeah, like
There's
that.
a clue. That is an accordion leg or arm. It's folded back and forth.
Yeah.
There's an instrument called the accordion
Yeah.
that you play going like this. Yeah, you've heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay, continue on.
Hanging in the hall outside the art room. It would be hard to mess up, but still, he wanted his pumpkin to look good. His name would be on it. Wait. Oh shoot, Mr. Caleb said. He stood at the front of the classroom. I forgot to template, I must have left it in the main office.
Okay, keep going. Where are you at, Kimai? Alright. Go ahead.
So she can make sure he doesn't eat any of it. Truman didn't even turn about.
So what was happening right there? If I could stop you. Tell me in your own words what was happening.
Ben asked Truman if he wanted to go trick-or-treating with him. And
So you said Ben asked Truman? Okay. Come back up here and read that part.
hey, Ben, what do you think of trick-or-treating with Truman this year?
So who said that?
Kevin.
So who is saying they want to go trick-or-treating with Truman?
Kevin.
Kevin. Okay. And how is he saying it? Is he saying it in a nice way or a mean way?
Nice way.
Nice way? Okay. What makes you think it was a nice way in this paragraph?
Because he said, what do you think you say we go trick-or-treating with Truman?
This year. And there's a question mark, right? So he's asking the question. Go on to the next sentence. What does it make you think?
He probably have to give us all the candy he gives Kevin.
Okay. Remember to stop at periods. Okay. You said he'd probably have to give us all the candy he gets Kevin. The period was back with gets, right? So you should read it. He'll probably have to give us all the candy he gets. Kevin poked Ben in the ribs with his elbow. So those are completely different thoughts. So always stop at periods, okay? And I think if you're stopping at the periods, that's going to help you understand that paragraph a little bit better. Go on to that next part. Or
maybe he still goes with his mommy so she can make sure he doesn't eat any of it.
how does that sound to you? How is Kevin sounding towards Truman? Mean, yeah, I agree with you. He's kind of making fun of Truman there, right? And in the next paragraph, I'm going to come back to you and check with you. We find out why the candy is a big deal. So read on to yourself, and I'll come back and check with you. Orion, where are you? You're done? Did you finish the whole story? Go on. Okay. So go on to part, you ready for part 7? Okay, go on. Can I hear you? I want to hear you, okay? Starting right there, Mr. Caleb. And Mr. Caleb.
Mr. Caleb dropped all of the orange papers on the floor to rush over. Blood was coming from Truman's mouth.
Okay, I want to stop you right there. What had happened?
Truman fell from the chair and probably hit his mouth.
So it wasn't he fell accidentally and hit his mouth? What caused him to fall?
Again, his chair took it away from him.
Oh, so someone took his chair away? Who took his chair away?
Ben.
Ben did. Why did Ben do that?
Because he thought it would be funny because they used to do it all the time last time and everyone would laugh. But
Okay. Was it Ben's idea to do this?
no, Kevin.
Kevin's idea. Why do you think Kevin wanted Ben to do it and he didn't do it himself?
Because Kevin didn't like Truman at all.
Okay. So why do you think Kevin asked Ben to do it? Why didn't Kevin just do it himself?
because he probably didn't want to get in trouble.
That's what I'm kind of wondering too. I'm inferring a little bit. Maybe Kevin didn't want to get caught or blamed for anything because of what happened on the bus too. Kevin kind of wanted Ben to sit and cause the problem with Truman on the bus too, right? Not just do it himself. It's interesting how Kevin behaves that way, isn't it? Alright, you can continue on in your head. Moa, where are you? Okay, go ahead.
Truman stood up slowly. See, he's okay, Ben told himself, and he thought he might be able to start breathing again until someone yelled out,
Okay.
"Oh, look."
Now read that sentence again.
And he thought he might be able to start breathing again until someone yelled out, "Oh, look, he's bleeding."
You can go on.
Mr. Celeb dropped all the orange paper on the floor and rushed over. Blood was coming from Truman's mouth. "This is it. I am finished," Ben thought. "I'm going to be in trouble for the rest of my life." "Truman," Mr. Celeb said. Mr. Caleb said, "Are you all right?" Truman nodded, holding his hand over his nose and chin.
Chin. Good.
Then Mr. Celeb looked right at Kevin and Ben. "What happened?"
I stopped you there. What's going on?
Ben took the chair from Truman and Truman fell and hurt himself.
Okay. What part of his body did he hurt?
His head and his bottom.
Okay. I wanted to check in also. At the end of part 6, did you circle how Ben was feeling? So that would be right here. He had just pulled the chair out, and what had happened? Why don't you reread that last paragraph and see if you can find out how Ben is feeling.
Which one?
This one. Starts with C.
He's okay, Ben told himself, and he thought he might be able to start breathing again. Until someone yelled out, "Oh, look, he's bleeding."
So how do you think Ben is feeling right now?
Awful.
Okay, awful. Why?
Because he felt awful that he hurt Truman.
That he caused Truman to get hurt? Okay. Continue reading, and don't make sure you mark part 7 when you get to the end. So, Kimaya, I wanted to come back with you and check with you. Did you figure out why Kevin was really trying to make fun of Truman about candy and Halloween? What did we find out about Truman? Truman was what? Let's see if we can go back to that part. You were back here on part 4 when we were talking about that, right? Okay. Talking about going trick-or-treating, right? Well, turn back to part 4 real quick. And in that bold at the bottom, what did Kevin ask him? Okay, one Snickers bar. So he kept referring to candy with Truman, right? Let's turn back and start at the top. can help me. I think in here somewhere it says that Truman is allergic to peanuts. Okay, and Snickers bars have what in them? Peanuts. So when Kevin was talking about maybe your mom has to check all the candy for you, what was he talking about, do you think? Okay. Yeah, he can't have lots of kinds of candy if they have peanuts in them. Okay. Turn back to where you were. Do you remember where you were? On 7 or 8? Okay, continue reading. How are you doing? For the end of part 7, you chose what? What was Ben ashamed of?
He was ashamed of that when he pulled Truman's chair, he thought he would get in trouble. Then
Okay, did he get in trouble?
no. Ben no. Truman
Here's our character chart. Okay. So,
Truman like instead of saying that it was Ben, he said I sleep. So he made an excuse that it was no one.
so when Mr. Caleb asked what happened, Truman didn't
Respond.
give the honest answer. Why do you think Truman didn't tell the truth?
I think he didn't tell the truth because he thought he's gonna like get picked on or get bullied. That like after like when they're done with art, they're gonna like start hurting. No, not hurt. They're gonna tell him why did you say it was me?
Okay. It might make it worse.
Yeah.
Someone might do something mean again to Truman because he told on someone else. We sometimes, have you heard rat on someone? That's an expression that sometimes people use. Don't rat on me, don't tell on me. Okay, that's what that reminds me of. Part 8, you're going to come up with your own word to describe how Ben is feeling. Okay, did you notice that as well? You're going to come up with your own word on part 8? Okay. Does anyone need a character trait chart? So you're going to finish up the story and come up with your own word. I did not give you one to choose from. Okay. Where are you? Alright, can I hear you?
I know Ben reached for the handle, but Truman put his hand out first to open the door. He passed.
Try that again. What do you see that you know? Okay, I like how you're trying to chunk it. I see A-U. Do you remember what A-U says?
U.
What?
Close.
It says aw, like in auto, like an automobile. So ah. Say the rest of it. Pause. So what is it?
Pause.
Pause. So who paused? It says he paused. Who are we talking about there?
Truman.
Yeah, Truman paused. Go on.
I just want to know why you did it. Truman said. Why did he do it? When did that? And that's when Ben realized he had no idea. Was he trying to get Kevin to like him, or was he more afraid of how bad it felt to be the one who was getting picked on?
Let's stop right there. Truman asked Ben why he pulled the chair out, right? Did Ben have an answer for that?
No.
What were his two ideas about why he might have done that?
So he doesn't feel guilty, or
Right here, Ben's asking himself, why did he do it? Read those first two sentences there and tell me. You can read them to yourself.
he was trying to get Kevin to like him,
So he might have been trying to get Kevin to like him, or
how bad it felt.
okay, read that sentence out loud. Or was
He more afraid of how bad it felt to be the one who was getting picked on.
what does that mean?
Trying not to get picked on.
Okay. Or he was afraid of how bad it had been to be the one who was picked on. So he was afraid of what?
Him getting picked on.
Yeah, he was afraid of himself getting picked on, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does Ben really know why he did it?
No.
He doesn't, does he? What does he tell? Go on. I want to hear you. What does he say to Truman?
Whatever it was, whatever the reason, it wasn't worth it. Ben could not imagine feeling any worse than he did right now. Kevin was going to change, and Truman probably knew that too. I didn't know, Ben answered, but
Try that again.
I didn't know. I don't know.
I don't know. So how did Ben answer the question?
I don't know.
How does he feel about what he did?
Yeah.
He does. He does. The proof is right there, right?
Mhm.
Kevin wasn't going to change, but who said they were going to change?
Ben.
Ben said he was going to change, right? He said it wasn't
Worth it.
worth it. What wasn't worth it?
Him hurting Truman.
Yeah, pulling the chair up. Finish it up, and don't forget to do that part 8. Did you get part 8 done? Okay, what did you put? Ben was feeling optimistic. Why?
Because at the end, he when Truman asked him, why did you do it? He had no answer, and he also
Yeah, you can go back in.
it said that it says I don't know Ben answered, but from that day on for Ben at least things were going to be different. How could he would make sure of that? Truman shrugged, and then he pulled open the door and held it.
So, when you said that things were going to be different for Ben,
Yes.
what did that make you think?
That he's dynamic.
That he's the dynamic character and he's going to change. And optimistic means what?
That you think things are going to be okay.
Okay, so Ben thinks things are going to be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to have to stop there. We did not get to our audio today. We'll have to do that tomorrow. Okay? All right, thanks for working.